Well, good morning, everybody. I'm a bicycle retail business owner, and why would I be here today? And what am I going to share with you that's going to give you some insight in how you can run your companies and be successful with relationships with customers and focus on a lifetime value. But let me start by showing you a couple of pictures of what it is that we are so that you can kind of get a handle and understanding of what business we're in. So the picture on the left is our retail outlet, our single store. The picture on the top right is our distribution center, and the bottom picture is my best picture. It's my three most important people in our organization. The guy on the left is Warren Weaver. He's my director of national sales. The guy in the middle is my director of operations, and the guy on the right is Tom Gerard, and he's my head of retail or the organization. So I'll talk about a little bit about each of these guys and what they've done to help drive our business forward and to make it as successful as it's been. Here's a picture of the inside of our store, and we're like every other bicycle retailer that you've been in. It's not anything different. You walk in, there's bikes on racks, there's tires in the back, there's mechanics fixing bikes. So the image of what we are, you understand, you know what the inside of a bike shop looks like. But what's different about what we do in comparison to what my competitors do and to really what a lot of other businesses do is that we're focused on service. So we're all about the service that we provide. We're all about the relationship with the customer. And I'd like to do an exercise before I really get into my presentation to show how service works. So everybody knows that service costs money. And since I really can't show you service, I'd like to give out some money because we could tie the two together. Help yourself. Help yourself. Help yourself. And one more. Help yourself. All right. So what this is a bowl of quarters that hypothetically represents the amount of service that I'm willing to spend on any one customer. If a customer comes in, they're asking for something, it seems extraordinary. I know that the relationship that I have with my customer, that I need to make an investment to keep them as part of the business that we're in. So the bowl is the amount of service that any one customer investment that we would make that's reasonable. What we found is what we think is reasonable is unreasonable to the normal consumer. And so when customers are presented with more service than is reasonable, they self-regulate. They take a couple of quarters, but they don't reach in and grab the whole bowl. And I'm going to go through and explain today what the different services and different programs that we have that represent the amount of money that we spend to fill this bowl of quarters. And the benefit of doing business with Zane's is that Zane Cycles, when you do business with us, we provide more service than what you believe is reasonable. You took them, right? Oh, sorry. Gave them to the wrong guy. How about that? So this is just hopefully an opportunity for you to recognize that there's a difference in the way that we go to market in comparison to the way that most businesses go to market, in that we're not necessarily focused on the individual transaction of the customer, but we're looking at a lifetime relationship with the customer. We've got this great big bowl of quarters that we hope will last for the lifetime of their existence with us, and that it'll allow us to build a relationship that goes back and forth between us and them, and that they continue to buy from us and we continue to service them, and over time they become less demanding on the bowl of quarters. So let me explain the different business models that we're in. So this is the business model that everybody thinks that the typical business is in. You have manufacturer, reseller, consumer, or client, customer, whatever you want to call it. Similar to the businesses that you guys are in. But we have multiple divisions of what we do. So we're looking at the service relationship with our customers a little bit differently. This is our retail model. And then we have another division of our company where we supply bikes to national companies who run incentive programs. So if you have an American Express card and you use points to get a bike, it's going to come from me. If you walk into a store and you see a bike on an end cap that's going to be raffled off, a Miller Lite or Budweiser bike or Coca-Cola, those will come from us. And we supply all these bikes to all these different organizations through a channel that's pretty complicated. That's us on the top. And then we have our independent reps. And then we work with all these different companies, from jobbers to incentive catalog companies to ad agencies to marketing agencies. And they all work with one another to try to bring this product to the end user, the American Express, or to the Marriotts of the world. And nothing happens until a recipient decides that they want to pick a bike out of an incentive catalog. So we spend all this time focused on building a relationship with all these different companies, and then we have to wait until the program comes into place, and at that point, hopefully the recipient picks a bike over a television or over some other item that's available in the incentive program. All these guys interact with one another, they all fight with one another, they all try to take each other's customers, and we're at the top trying to figure out basically how to get to that recipient. So it's a pretty complicated model that we work with to try to get the business to move from us to having a recipient pick a bike. The interesting part about that is our investment in time. From the time I decided to focus on a specific end user and try to figure out how to get to them until potentially a recipient picks a bike is about 24 months. So it takes quite a while to feed that business and be able to recognize that there's an opportunity for us to fulfill a bike with this big investment. So having an understanding of the relationship that we have with our customer is really the thing that gives us a point of difference and allow us to hang in there to be able to grow the business and continue to service the recipients that we're trying to work with. Now, our business started in 1981. Our first year sales were $56,000. We've grown annually at about 23% a year for 30 years, and so this year we're going to close our books at about $20 million in sales. And that's all grown from just constantly focusing on the relationship with the customer and looking at opportunities how we can build a brand that customers want to do business with consistently. So we'll focus on the retail side of the business, and then we'll talk about the business-to-business side, because you guys have similar relationships as well, as far as having an end user that you work with directly, and then also having people who give you POs and having a business-to-business type relationship that's a little bit more complicated than just having your sales guys go in and sell an end user and then supplying the product. So what we decided in 1981 was that when I started, we were a 900 square foot store. As I said, our sales were barely anything. And the only offer that I had, the only thing that I could do differently was to offer service to differentiate my business from the 17 other bike shops that were in New Haven County, Connecticut. The 17 shops had bigger, they had better inventory, they had lower prices. So the only thing that I could do was try to create a relationship with the customers who were coming in and have them continue to come into our business. So I thought about the relationship that I needed to have with my customers. And I said, if I can interact with the product, if I can teach the customer that I'm here for them long term, and whatever they need I'll do, hopefully that'll take business from my competitors and let us capture some more market share. So as we move through the process, we developed these guerrilla marketing tactics that I like to promote in our organization. And the first one that we came up with was lifetime free service. Now, the thing I'm trying to promote here isn't that you should do my thing, because my thing works for me and you're going to find something extraordinary that works for you. What I'm trying to do is plant seeds and give you the tools to be able to understand that stepping off the edge isn't a fall off the cliff, it's really just a step down to the next step. And that you can come up with an opportunity, or you can figure out how to connect with your customer in a way that's extraordinary and allow you to really capture the mind and create mind share in your customer's experience. So lifetime free service didn't start as lifetime free service. Lifetime free service started as a one-year free service policy, because in our business, when I started, the average or the norm was that a bike shop would give a 30-day checkup with their bike. You bought a bike, you brought it back in 30 days, everything was tightened up, and the customer went off and used their bike. If the bike broke after that, there was a charge. At that point, it was like $25 an hour. Now it's about $150 an hour for labor. But it was an investment that the customer had to make. So I decided if I was going to build the bikes, and I was going to be the guy selling the bikes, and I was going to be the guy taking the bikes off the truck when they came, doing pretty much every job in the business, I knew that if I built the bike correctly, I could offer an extended warranty for free, because I built the bike correctly and I knew that there wasn't going to be anything that went wrong with it for a year. So we started to capture market share, and all of a sudden my competitors went to a year free service, because they were recognizing that they were losing some opportunities with the customers that I was capturing. And at that point I had realized that the liability of 1 year free service was pretty low, so I immediately went to 2 years free service. And then it took a couple of years for them to realize that there really wasn't a lot of demands and that they needed to compete with us, or try to compete with us. And so they went to 2 years, and at that point I said, you know what, lifetime, there's nothing better than that, so let's just offer a lifetime free service policy. We'll sell our bikes, if they break, we'll fix them. If we fix them correctly, they won't break again. If we build them correctly from the start, they won't break again. So at least we've got an opportunity to have an interaction with the customer over time, hopefully giving them an opportunity to buy from us because they're not going to my competitors, because this is the ultimate switching cost. If they go to my competitor, they have to pay. If they come to me, it's free. It's a pretty easy way to keep them coming in. So at that point, we said, that's a great program. What else can we do? So we added a lifetime parts warranty to our relationship with our customers. And this is kind of an interesting interaction because we kind of went at it with securing a relationship with our vendors and saying, or our suppliers saying, we need you to help us with this. And initially they were like, you're crazy. We're not offering lifetime parts warranties because stuff breaks. I'm like, but I'm a big customer of yours, or I'm becoming a big customer of yours, or I'm a small customer and I want to be a big customer of yours, so I want you to help me support this program. So they gave a little pushback, and ultimately the whole thing came full circle when one day a rep came in who sells us bike helmets, and he said, he was going through our warranty bins, and he pulled out a helmet and he said, this helmet isn't defective, there's nothing wrong with it, it's outside of warranty, I'm not going to write you credit for it. And what had happened is the customer had lost the buckle, and so they couldn't connect it, and there really wasn't anything wrong with the helmet, but the buckle was gone, and I couldn't find a buckle, so I just gave the guy a new helmet and threw the helmet in the warranty bin. And the rep said, this is ridiculous, I'm not going to write you credit. And I said to him, well, that's fine. The helmet cost $20, and it was a $40 retail helmet. And I was buying, and I had an order in hand for about $5,000 worth of helmets, and I said to him, well, I was going to give you this $5,000 order, but if you can't write a $20 credit, I don't know that I can give you the business. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll give you the $20 credit. I'm not going to walk away from that opportunity. So at that point, it became cemented in our organization that if we were going to buy from vendors and we were going to support them and we were going to let them make the revenue from the relationship that we had with them, they were going to support us on this crazy lifetime parts warranty. And how much was it really going to cost? It's like the bowl of quarters. It was a minimal investment for him. It was just something that he didn't recognize as a value that we thought was important. So he immediately came around, and so did everybody else. Because we told this story a million times to everybody that came in who wanted to sell us product, and we said, well, we offer a lifetime free parts warranty. We need you to back it up. And they said, okay, we'll do it. We understand. We're all about that. So we offer these two things, and you're smart consumers, you look at this and say, well, if he's offering a lifetime parts warranty and he's offering a lifetime free service warranty, he must be more expensive than everybody else. He can't offer all this service and be competitive in the market because you have to build this into the price in order to support it. So we added the third leg to our stool, and we added a 90-day price protection program. So we just basically knocked down all of the bars of indecision for our customer, because we said to them, buy it from us now, we'll take care of it forever. If anything ever goes wrong with it, we'll take care of it. And oh, by the way, if you find it anywhere else in Connecticut, now it's really anywhere else, we'll refund the difference plus 10% of the difference. Well, again, I'm not trying to have you do this in your business, but I want to give you the tools and have you think about what the benefits are to having this type of program when you interact with your customers. So this program occasionally someone takes advantage of the offering. And I'll give you this scenario. Customer's out on a ride, he gets a flat tire, he goes into a bike shop, he sees the bike that he just bought for less money. Let's say it's a $500 bike and he sees it for $450. He calls us, he comes in, I should say, and he says, I was up at bike shop up in Middletown and I saw the bike and they have it for $450 and you charged me $500. And immediately we reach in the drawer, we grab $55, the difference plus 10% of the difference, and we hand him the money right out of the cash register. So now immediately he's like, wow, okay, they did what they said they were going to do. But he's also standing in a bike shop and he's new into cycling and he's got $55 in his hand. And about 7 or 8 minutes later, that $55 is back in the drawer with usually a couple of more dollars. And we basically have captured that relationship with that customer for that transaction, for the helmet transaction, and hopefully for all the other transactions that go on as we move forward. An interesting statistic about this program, and again, you think, this is going to cost us a ton of money. We give about $1,000 a year back in price protection, where we have a customer who went into one of my competitor stores. I don't know why, because we give a lifetime free service, so I got to figure out a better way to keep our customers out of our competitor stores. But still, they go into our competitor stores, and we give back about $1,000. Last year, we got $850 back immediately in the store from those customers who exercised the 90-day price protection policy. The other thing that's interesting is we've never had a customer ask for price protection twice. And this is one that's really kind of gets me, because when it comes to buying, I'm trying to buy at the best price I can to make our company as profitable as I can. So if I have an opportunity to get great service, and then I can hunt around and find a lower price, and then let the company know who offered the great service that I can get it for less, and they're going to give me back the difference, why wouldn't I do that on every transaction? And it's the same reason, and I'll talk about this later with the business-to-business side of it, is that the customer is focused on price when it's in front of them, but after time, price becomes less important, and something else becomes more important. So they continue to buy from us, they continue to support our business, but it's not based on the price that they're paying, it's based on the fact that they might have come in 4 or 5 times, gotten free service, they may have come in, had something break, and we replaced it, and all of a sudden they realize, well, it doesn't matter what it costs, if I'm only going to buy a pump once, even if my wife runs it over in the garage, because they bring it back and say this is damaged, and we hand them a new one, and they go home with the new pump that they didn't have to buy a second one, is price really the most important part of the relationship? And typically it's not, but again, some people like to challenge it, but this 90-day price protection policy has never been challenged twice by the same customer in our store. So again, if you're looking at opportunities and you're comparing it to a bowl of quarters, you see that when you really offer an extraordinary relationship with your customers, that they really do self-regulate. They don't take more than what's reasonable. They want to build a relationship where you're successful and that they're taken care of, and they're not just out to take every nickel and dime out of your organization. So we've got the customer, they're all locked in. Now we're trying to build a relationship with the customer. We're trying to create an interaction with the customer where they're doing business with us based on some reason that's not just the tires, the spokes, the carbon fiber, that they're in our business because there's something else that we bring to them. And so the program that we have is when a customer comes in our store and they need a nut or a bolt or a master link, or they need some little part, a clip or something that they need to satisfy a problem that was created somehow. They were changing the tire and they dropped the bolt and it rolled under the car and they can't find it. The master link broke on a chain and the kids want to go for a ride and they can't get the bike to work. They come in and we hand them the parts for free. We take them out of our service bin, we handed them the part, we say, thanks, it's on us, we'll take care of you later, no problem. And they look at us and like, really? No charge, we've got you covered. And the reason we do that is because there's an understanding that when a customer is moving through their day, and they get their gas, and they get their coffee, and they go to the dry cleaner, that they're really not engaged. They're going through the process that they do every day, and they're kind of mindless. But when they have a problem, and you satisfy that problem, they're emotionally charged and they're emotionally connected. And if you can do something extraordinary, it makes a lasting impression in their existence or in their life moving forward. I hear lots of feedback from people. 5 years ago I came in to get a bolt and you just handed it to me. That was awesome. And so that's a 3-cent bolt that I gave to a customer. Sure, I could have charged 79 cents for it or $1.29 or whatever. It doesn't really matter what I could have charged for it. But instead, I made emotional connection with a customer that's going to last much longer than the dollar that I would have collected from the interaction. And we're constantly looking at ways to connect emotionally with our customers so that we become top of mind for them. So again, the challenge is what can you do to have a connection with a customer that when they're in their hot point, when things are going badly, when they're frustrated, when they're uptight, that you can change the attitude, turn things around, and make it so that they fall in love with your organization, because that's really the only time that you can make a really strong impression on your customer. When your truck shows up and the stuff's delivered and it's the right order and they send in the check and they're paid, there's no opportunity there to have them fall in love with you. It's when something unique happens and you act differently than what they expect that creates a relationship with that customer going forward that's much more valuable to them. We have a kids' play area. Again, nothing new now, but in the mid-'80s, we were the first place that had a kids' play area. We're in a bike shop. We had movies. We had a sandbox. We had, we had lots of things for kids to do, a Brio train table. And we found that the kids would come in and the parents could shop during the holiday and interact with us and make an investment in the product that we're offering right in front of their kids, because the kids were so engaged in what they were doing that they didn't know that the parents were actually buying stuff from us. And it also kept the kids from trying to ride all the bikes in the store and knocking them all over and all the things that happen in a bike shop. It's interesting, when the bikes fall over in a bike shop, you can tell who the employees are without name badges and who the customers are, because the customers jump to try to stop the the falling dominoes, and everybody else just steps back, and when it's done, we'll stand them all back up. But you cannot stop a row of bikes from falling once they start to fall. We've actually had guys in the store that we didn't know who they were, and bikes would start to fall, and they would just stand there, and my manager, Tom, would go up to them and say, "You worked in a bike shop at some point, didn't you?" "Oh, yeah." Because they didn't hop to try to stop it. So again, connections with the customer in a way that are non-traditional. We have this 14-foot mahogany coffee bar that we had built that looks into the shop of our store where the mechanics work, and there's coffee there and cappuccino and Snapple, and it's an opportunity for us to create a relationship with the customer that's unique. And obviously, you're in a different relationship, but again, it's what can you do and how can you interact. We used to get Girl Scout cookies from Trek, one of our suppliers, that would just inadvertently show up in the boxes when we opened them, and everybody would gobble them down, and no one ever forgot that Trek sends Girl Scout cookies during Girl Scout cookie time, because it's a way for them to be different than all the other boxes that we opened. It gets out of hand sometimes. Guys are ordering one little piece, and they open it, and there's a box of Girl Scout cookies and a 17-cent piece that they supposedly needed to order, but so we'll have 50 boxes of Girl Scout cookies in our... But the other thing is that this coffee bar creates a relationship with the customers, not from the coffee, but from the smell. New tires, the rubber on new tires is really pungent and strong, and the smell of coffee mixed with that rubber smell gives a really great kind of aroma. So when you walk into the shop, you immediately have this I love the smell of this place. And it's amazing because being in it for 30 years, I think I probably noticed it the first 5 times I walked in, but people say all the time, "God, I love coming here. This place just smells so good." And it became a deliberate exercise because we recognized that if I can make an emotional connection on smell to our business, and I can offer lifetime free service, and I can give them their money back if they find it for less, and I can do all these things, what are my competitors doing? They're out running ads on Saturdays trying to have bikes on sale. They have no emotional connection with the customer and the interaction that we have with them. And again, that emotional connection is not just the connection at retail, but it's also a connection on the business-to-business side in working with the buyers that you work with. What can you do to make them feel that you have something different and you're more important than the other providers of the things that are consistent with what you offer? So now we're to lifetime value of a customer. And this is the thing that I completely embrace and I'm in love with. The understanding that my relationship with my customer isn't going to be a single individual transaction time and time again. It's a period of time that they get their first bike when they're 6 or 5, and they get their bike when they go to middle school, and they get a high school bike, and they get one after they graduate from college, and then they get one when they get married, and then they get their midlife crisis bike, and then they get their retirement bike. And all these bikes, and I want all those transactions. I don't want just 1 or 2 of them. I want to make sure that every time they think of our product, that they recognize that we value the relationship that we have with them, and they continue to come to us. And you've heard what I've offered previously on how to build that relationship. But the lifetime value proposition changes not just my attitude, but my staff's attitude. And my staff is empowered to satisfy customers at all costs. There's no restriction. If something happens and they need to fix a problem, they fix a problem. If they spent too much money, we'll have a conversation potentially about what they could have done differently that might have gotten the same results. But they're empowered to do it, and they're applauded when they do something great. But they can't do something great unless they know what the value of a customer is. At Zane Cycles, a customer who buys all their bikes, all their accessories, the car racks, and all the other things that they're going to get is worth $12,500 to us. That's a $5,650 profit. So that aura that's around every customer that walks through our door is recognized by not just me, but all my staff. If you ask my guys, what's the lifetime value of a customer? $5,650 in profit. So if a guy comes in with a tube that he bought from us for $6, and he says it's defective, and we open up the box and we look at the tube, and it has a hole in it from a screwdriver, because it's got a little scrape next to the hole from where the screwdriver went through the tube because he was trying to put it in and didn't realize you're supposed to use the back of a spoon and not a screwdriver. We go over and we hand him a new tube, and we apologize for selling him a defective tube. Wink, wink. By the way, use the back of a spoon, don't use a screwdriver the next time you put this tube in. And so they walk out the door and they're like, and of course the tube goes in my warranty bin, and my supplier warranties it. But beyond that, it's my staff, new staff says, that guy's ripping us off. He screwed up that tube. He messed it up. Why are we giving him another tube? And I'm like, because he's worth $12,500. He's not worth $6. his interaction with us is going to be over and over and over again. And because I gave him the wink, because he knows that he made a mistake and we're going to support him, next time he has a need, he's going to come to us. So we don't just offer lifetime free service. We don't just offer replacement of parts. We tell the customer what the value is that we're giving them. When we do lifetime free service, you bring in your bike, it needs a tune-up. We do the tune-up. My mechanics write out the ticket like a normal service for some bike that doesn't belong to us. So it's $136 for a tune-up plus a cable and some other things that needed to be replaced. And then we cross out the $136 and we put a 0 underneath it, and we hand it to the customer when they pick up their bike. Because if we don't tell them what the value of the service that we're offering them is, there's no value to them. They think it's just, it's lifetime free service, lifetime free service. And we found that we transitioned from just handing the person the bike and saying, hey, thanks a lot, have a nice day, to actually giving them a receipt and having them look at it and go, wow, thanks. Because it's $136 off the cost of what they thought they should have to pay. It's a different relationship. So your interaction with your customer needs to be deliberate, it needs to be focused, and you need to tell them what you're doing that's extraordinary. The wink, wink, here's your free tube, instead of just handing him a free tube and letting him think that you're just naive to the fact that he put the screwdriver through it. We spend 2,000 hours a year doing what we do. There's nothing that someone comes in and explains to us that they might have done or they could have done. We know exactly what's happening and what they did in order to get to where they are. Just like you know your customers and all the things that they do and all the games that they try to play. And if you let them play them, but you tell them you know the game and you're willing to let them play the game, they become, again, more loyal to the relationship. So I challenge, again, to find out what is your lifetime value. When you take a customer that's probably a B quality customer, add up all of his transactions over a period of time. Now I'm looking at a 40-year or 50-year investment for $12,500. I've been in it for 30 years. I didn't think I would ever look at something as a 30 or 40 or 50-year investment, but that's what happens when you do something for long enough. Come up with a number, tell your staff, tell your people, have them understand what the value of that customer is, what the profit is that they bring to your business, and you'll see a change in the attitude of the way that you and your staff interact with that particular customer, and then ultimately all customers, because really statistically, every customer that walks through our door has the exact same value. If they started or they fall off and I pick up a new one, it still winds up being $12,500 for basically for every transaction. Some of the other statistics in the industry for customer lifetime value, automobile dealers see a $500,000 value when you buy cars and tires and oil and all the other things that you're going to buy over your lifetime. Pizza restaurants, $25,000. Mine's probably $50,000, but whatever. The college, and then after college, and all my kids, and we burned through boatloads of it. So when they make a mistake, and the pizza, the pie, we call them pie in the Northeast. When the pie isn't done right, do you go back to him and explain that you're unhappy? And if he doesn't understand that your lifetime value is $25,000, he might be like, hey man, mistakes happen. But if he understands lifetime value, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, the next 3 pizzas are free, because he doesn't want you to start to look for someone else to supply, to be a pizza supplier. And then finally, my last one is Tropicana orange juice, and this ties to our corporate business. We supplied bikes to Tropicana. If you went out and saved UPC codes, you could get a really nice $500 Trek bike if you saved 1,000 UPC codes. And the reason that they were willing to spend that much money to give customers bikes was because they realized that a customer will spend $32,500 on orange juice in their lifetime if they're an orange juice consumer. Now, some guys don't spend any money on orange juice, but work for the sanitation department in New York, cut off all the UPC codes, and then wind up getting 14 bikes. But there's a few people that grab in and grab the whole bowl, but not everyone grabs the whole bowl. So you've got an existence where Tropicana bought 2,500 bikes from us early on to promote the fact that they wanted their customers to have bikes, be healthy, drink orange juice. There was a Tropicana logo on the bike, and it was because they recognized the value and what kind of investment that they can make in order to keep their customer coming in. And what kind of investment can you make when you look at the aura around your customer rather than the $36 or the $136 or the $1,036 transaction, and how much money you're making on each one. I'd love to lose money on individual transactions because I know over a lifetime I'm going to be incredibly profitable working with that customer, because they're going to become price is going to become less and less important in the interaction that they have with us as they fall in love with the business that we are and the interactions and service that we provide. So Mitchell's is a clothing store. Jack Mitchell wrote a book called Hug Your Customers and another book called Hug Your People. And he recognizes the lifetime value of a customer. I go in and I get my suits from him, and being a bike guy, I don't buy a lot of suits. But when I do, I go to Mitchell's because they tailor them and the quality of what they offer is great. So I had been in there for about a year, and one day I get this letter in the mail, and there's a store certificate for $100 for me to come back to the store because they've missed me. And it's not buy, get $100 off if you spend $500. It's not, buy this specific thing and get it for, it was, here's a $100 gift certificate. Just come back in. We're confident that if you come in, you'll start buying again. And we're willing to entice you with a $100 gift certificate to do that. The other example I have is IBM. This is an ad that was in a magazine talking about the value of that suitcase. The suitcase isn't worth $130,000 or $140,000. The amount of airline tickets that I'll buy is worth $140,000. And if you lose my suitcase, I'm not going to pick your airline. I'm going to pick somebody else's airline. I'm going to go Southwest instead of United. Because United loses your airlines, or they hate guitars, or all these things that you know. And Southwest, they have the best baggage handlers in the industry, and they pay them more than anybody else because they understand that if the flight could be great, it can be completely safe, everything can go smooth. I get to the turnstile, my luggage isn't there. I'm rethinking my buying decisions over and over again because I'm frustrated that I lost my luggage. So what's the lifetime value of your customer worth, and how can you use that with your staff to understand that you're building a relationship that's much longer, much stronger than an individual transaction? So this is Tom. Tom's my director of retail operations. And simply put, Tom's one of those guys that walks on water and glows in the dark. He is a rock star when it comes to being in retail. He's nicer than I am. He's more attentive than I am. He likes people. Not that I don't like people, but he really is engaged with the customer. And so he's the guy who's the front line of our business, and he's the face of our business because he really is the best guy to represent what we are. I'm the entrepreneur. I'm trying to do 19 different things. I drop things and forget that I've dropped them, and he doesn't drop anything. Customer needs something, he takes care of it. And I've got great stories I'll tell you later about Tom. But this particular image, and the story that goes along with this is that one day I'm at a cocktail party, and a customer says to me, that kid's trade-in program that you have is awesome. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He goes, no, you buy a bike, and you use it for a couple of years, and then you bring it back, and you get 100% credit towards the next bike. I'm like, no way, you can't do that. And he goes, and then you bring that bike back, and you get 100% credit towards the next bike. And I'm like, dude, what are you smoking? That can't work. So then I leave the party and I get on the phone. I'm like, Tom, what's the deal, man? What's with this trade-in? We don't take trade-ins. We hate trade-ins. He goes, no, I implemented this new program and it's awesome. People are falling in love with it. I'm like, we're taking trade-ins? What's wrong with you? He goes, no, listen. I did the math. It works out. We'll sit down. I'll explain the whole process to you. So basically how it works is you come in, you buy your first bike, 12-inch bike with training wheels, and you use it for a couple of years, you bring it back, you get, let's say it's $119. You get $119 towards the next bike, which is $149. So you pay another $40, you get another brand new bike, and then you bring that bike back, and the next bike is $229, and you bring that bike back, and you bring the $149 bike, you pay the $70 or $80, and then you get the next bike. And I'm like, geez, I can't figure this out, but okay, if you think it's gonna work, we'll try it for a while. Again, we'll just take the step off the edge. We don't have to jump. We'll figure out if it's something that needs to change and adapt. So believe it or not, when you look at the numbers, the cost of all these bikes adds up to about $239 or $229. So if the customer buys all these bikes and brings them all back, we've collected 100% of the revenue of what it costs us to supply these bikes. We're not making any profit, but we're whole. We're covered on the cost or out of pocket on the inventory. I said, so give me what's the back behind the scenes part of why we're doing this? He goes, well, I'm looking at the numbers and our kids' bike sales are diminishing. Walmart's up the street, they're selling lots of kids' bikes. Their bike is $79, our bike is $119. We're not going to just go to $79 because then we're just competing with Walmart in their own game. So I decided we would sell the bikes at full price, but we'll take them back, and then they can get the next bike. And actually, if we can teach kids that bikes come from bike shops, then we're able to capitalize on that $12,500 number that you keep promoting. I'm like, all right, we'll try this and see how it works. So what we came to find out was, again, another example of the bullet quarters. People buy these bikes. They say, well, I can buy this bike at Walmart for $79. Can you do any better on the price? And we say, no, it's $119 because you're going to get 100% back when you bring it back. So where's the price difference? Over time, the bikes get run over, stolen, rusty, whatever, and people don't bring them back. So what we found is only about 20% of the bikes we're selling are actually coming back into our business. So we're selling full price transactions to people who are buying bikes in a bike shop. And it's not that the people aren't coming back and buying another bike, because we're having conversations with our customers. You know, you bought that 12-inch bike, where is it? Because you're buying a 16-inch bike. Oh, we have a sibling, so we're going to pass that on to them, and we're going to buy the 16-inch bike. I'm like, well, bring the 12-inch bike back, and we'll credit you for the next bike. It doesn't really matter. Oh, yeah, no big deal. Or, where's the bike? How come you're not trading in the 16-inch bike? My son has buddies come over, and they ride in the neighborhood, so we'll just leave it in the garage. So it's not that the people are, uncomfortable with the program or they've stopped buying from us. They're continuing to buy from us full price transactions, full price interactions for kids' bikes. And they're not bringing back the ability, or you taking advantage of the ability to trade it in, because they have needs for the product that we didn't recognize when we implemented this program. And so now our kids' bike business is astronomical in comparison to other independent bike shops. We sell a zillion kids' bikes at full price to people with the promise that they can bring them back. And then when they do bring them back, which we do, we get hundreds of them back a year, we give them to the homeless shelters, we give them to the churches, we give them to the programs where they can give them away to kids that don't have the ability to buy a bike at all. And now we've got more kids on bikes, so that hopefully someday, with our logo on them, so hopefully someday when they are in a position to buy the next bike, we're their source for that bike. So we're really built this relationship where, what can you do that creates an interaction where you only have 20% of your customers taking advantage of a program that looks like it should be a 100% program. Game-changing tactics, the things that we do differently in our business that frustrate everybody in the world of cycling. And when I talk about this is focusing on our business-to-business model. This is the relationship that we have with the customer who typically would have a points catalog and pick a bike out of a catalog and say, I'm going to pick this bike, and what size does it come in? Well, I don't know what size I am, so I'll pick the biggest one. The guy gets the bike, it's the wrong size. He calls, he needs to repack it. We need to pick it up, ship him the right size bike. So when we entered into this corporate business, we said to our customers, we're very different than what you've been used to. Our business-to-business model is to satisfy the relationship with that recipient in that little box to make sure that they're happy, so that the investment that you've made has value in the interaction with the customer, subsequently making them more loyal to your business. Yeah, we'd rather have you just have all the sizes available and let people pick. I'm like, but nobody knows if they're a 16, 18, or a 20, or a 22. They don't have any idea how bike sizing works. So we're going to custom fit you. We're going to collect the height and inseam from a recipient. We're going to determine the right size bike. We're going to ship that bike. We're going to have fully assembled that bike so that it works when the customer gets it, rather than just a big box of parts. And we're going to create a relationship with the customer that's going to have them fall in love with what it is that's different about what they did with us than, say, what your other suppliers that offer similar products do. We're going to email the recipients when we ship out a bike on your behalf. And this is something we did back when email was, I think it was AOL was the only service provider that had email, and CompuServe. And we would email the customers, ask them for their email address, and then tell them when the bike was coming, so that the interaction that the customer had with us was transparent to the company that was buying the bike from us. What services did you provide, or can you provide, or that we created, that allows the customer to have a direct relationship with us around the American Expresses, around the Marriotts, around the Budweisers of the world, so that if there's a problem, they communicate with us, we can satisfy the relationship and keep that customer not having a strong feeling about our service level as far as being disappointed. We're promoting that the phone never rings and that the relationship that we have with our customer is unique. And then we have a live webcam as well in our facility. So again, when we ship out these 50,000 bikes a year, if a customer has a problem with trying to put the pedal in, because the left-hand pedal is a left-hand thread, which is a reverse thread, and they call and say the pedal's stripped, and we're like, no, go the other way. And they're like, no, it doesn't work. And we go, okay, and we turn on the webcam and we show them how to put the pedal in. Again, Skype now is really simple, but when all these programs were implemented, we were pioneering service levels that would allow us to interact with people all over the country, rather than individual transactions at level at the retail side of our business. How can we be all places to all people? How can we communicate with people all over the country in a way that's unique and gives them a feeling of the fact that American Express gave them a bike was a positive experience? This is there we go. It's not me. So the satisfaction index is a tool that people use, and hopefully you're doing satisfaction surveys with your customers, and there's Net Promoter, and there's lots of different satisfaction surveys that can be done to figure out what your relationship is with your customer and how much value you have with them and how they feel about your business. And I was reading a story that was in the Harvard Business Review specifically about satisfaction surveys. And there was an interesting understanding or counterintuitive understanding that came out of the article. When we look at our satisfaction surveys, or when you look at your satisfaction surveys and you look at the customers, you say, okay, we're trying to get from 7 to 10. We want all of our customers to be in the 7 to 10 range. If they're sub-7s, we're going to call them. We're going to figure out how to satisfy their situations. We're going to create a loving experience for them to try to come to our business. Because obviously, if they're putting 1s, 2s, and 3s, they're not happy. So you're going to go out and address these 1s, 2s, 3s, all the way up to 6s to try to have an understanding of how to build a better relationship. The article came to say that the 7s and 8s are vulnerable to your competitor. Those are the satisfied customers, but not the highly satisfied customers. And that really the only thing that you can rely on in your satisfaction surveys are that the 9s and 10s are truly your customers. 7s and 8s will jump ship. If your competitor offers a better message or has the ability to promote a different message, your customers will switch and go to someone else. And you're looking at them going, well, my 7s and 8s, they're satisfied. Why would they switch? It's because they're not highly satisfied. It's not that they're not in love with your business, so they're happy with your relationship. But again, one little opportunity for your competitor to say something really unique or have an experience with them that's different from what you're offering, and then you can lose them. And so what I challenge is that the understanding of this counterintuitive message is that your 7s and 8s are vulnerable to your competitors, but your competitors' 7s and 8s are opportunities for you to pick up really good high-level customers. 7s and 8 customers and 9s and 10 customers typically buy more, they spend more money in the organization. They're an opportunity for you if you can find out how to do satisfaction surveys with your competition's customers and you see a 7 and 8, you can go on with a really unique message and you can have an opportunity to take that customer from your competitor because, again, he's not committed to your relationship. And that's something that your competitor doesn't understand. They're looking at their satisfaction surveys and saying, I've got these guys, they're all wrapped up. And I know this to be true because we've gone after our corporate customers. We do satisfaction surveys with them on our competition. We ask them to fill out a survey so that we can better serve our relationship, have a better relationship with them, figure out how to build our business to be more valuable. And when we see 7s and 8s on our satisfaction surveys from the customers who don't buy a lot from us, but buy a lot more from my competitors, we go after them hardcore, and we spend a ton of time and energy promoting that they should come to us and become our customers. And we've been very successful in having that come about. Part of what we do in our business, as you probably can tell, is that we're constantly asking what we can do better. What are the things that we can improve on? Can we add kids' trade-in program? Can we add a webcam? Can we email our recipients? What is it that we can do to make our business and have the interactions with our customers become more valuable to them, subsequently creating value for us? And the way that we figure out how to do that is that we look for the ones. I'm a maniac. When we get our customer satisfaction survey back, I am all over the ones. I love ones. We go weeks and weeks and weeks without any ones, and I start to get antsy because they come in the mail, they come in email, they come in through the fax. We survey every customer that gets a bike from us, and we're looking for the ones because the one is the place where someone's really frustrated, really ticked off, and they give us solutions to fix our problems. They tell us what the problem is very clearly. They promote what we should do to fix the problem, and if we can implement a change in our organization, it's not just better for that particular individual, but it's better for our company as a whole and all of the future customers as well. So over the last 36 months, we've implemented 17 new programs in our organization based on the fact that we get ones in our satisfaction surveys. I'm a customer service guy. You would think, he's got customers that love him. He's all about the relationship with the customer. How could he possibly get ones? We all get ones. We drop the ball, something happens, the UPS kicked in the box, the customer came to the store 15 minutes early, there were people looking through the window, they could see our employees didn't open earlier to let them, save them some time. There's lots of things that we do just by mistake that create a one environment for our customers. But finding out who those customers are, finding out what the problem was, and then implementing a change so that we can get a resolution to the one will keep us from getting those ones. And again, over time, we've got less and less ones. And I think that sometimes Colin, my operations guy, feeds in ones just because he knows I'll be pacing around the fax machine waiting for surveys to come in, and they're all 9s, 10s, and people are happy. And so all of a sudden a one will show up and it'll be something scribbled down that you can't read. And I'm like, Colin, come on, man, you're killing me here. I want real ones. I don't want your ones. He goes, well, you're nervous. I know you need a one. So I said this before, our goal is to make sure that the phone doesn't ring of our customer. When we look at the relationship that we have with our business-to-business customer, the best thing that I can do is to make sure that the recipient doesn't call them with a problem. I can't get the customer to call them and say we did a great job, but they will always pick up the phone and call them if there's a problem. So what we do is we created a relationship with the recipient that if they have a problem, they call us. Our phone number's all over the place. There's instructions to call us. Sure, we're not perfect. Sure, there's mistakes are made. But if they call us and we're able to resolve that problem, then the customer who bought from me or agreed to let us be in their program thinks that we're doing 100%, things are 100% right. And again, he knows that they're not, but he knows that we're not bothering him. And to that point, what is it that your customer needs in order for them to do business with you? And every interaction can be a different thing. They don't want the phone to ring, but maybe they want a volume rebate. Maybe they want an ad allowance. Maybe they want, something for us to show up in an event. Sometimes it's price. Our price is too high. But what I've found over time is that if I'm focused on servicing our business-to-business customers in a way that allow them to grow our volume with them, price is the thing that's least important most of the time, but it surfaces occasionally. And so let me give you a quick story. A buddy of mine runs a printing company, and he's been selling printing services to a customer for quite a while. And the woman called, and she said, you've quoted me on this job, and it's $800, and I can get it done online for $400. And, what gives? And my buddy kind of, not thinking about lifetime value, said, well, sometimes people are cheaper. Why don't you just go with them because it's actually below my cost? And I said to him, are you crazy? You've been doing business with this person for a long time. You're going to let her sample your competitor. You're going to let her do business with your competitor simply because of price. And so she's going to have 2 phone numbers in her Rolodex or in her contact the next time she needs printing done. He goes, yeah, but I've been losing $200 on the transaction. And I'm like, but you'd be losing a lot more than $200 on the transaction if she decides that she's going to start buying from that person because their quality was good, they delivered on time. There's other services that she appreciates. So if you're the guy that she's looked to and you've got one opportunity to take a beating on a relationship that's gone on for years and years, take the beating. Because the next time she calls, it's not going to be focused on price. It's going to be, I need it tomorrow, or I need it overnight, or I need it broken up into this, or I need this kind of color separation, or whatever. But it's not going to be a price relationship. But if another phone number is in her Rolodex under printing services, she's going to call both of you guys to see who's better, or who's going to give her, the supply the needs that she has. So we constantly ask our suppliers or our customers, the corporate customers, what is it that you need from us? What is it that you have today that's important? And we'll make sure that we can satisfy it. And if it's price, it's price. If it's service, it's service. If it's delivery, it's delivery. Whatever it may be, we're always asking, what is it that I can do in my organization to help you look better in your organization? You're buying from me, I'm servicing you. I want you to look like a rock star to your boss. I want you to have your organization think that you're the best guy in the job because you've got the best customers, suppliers supplying your recipients. So how do we interact? How do we create a relationship? So you tell me what you need, I deliver, and eventually we'll be profitable because we know what our lifetime value is. We know how to manage keep the profit level moving in the right direction. But all I want to do is satisfy the relationship that I have with you. The customer doesn't keep us from a job. The customer is our job. Don't get wrapped up in all of the minutia of what's going on in your organization that takes you away from interacting with your customers. It can be as busy as a million emails. There's stuff that needs to get done. There's tasks that need to be resolved. There's reports that need to get read. But at the end of the day, as a principal in your organization, actually interacting with your customers occasionally is an important part of what your business is all about. And you can't you can't hide in the back and stay behind the screen and not allow you to be a frontline guy to be in a position where you're the face of the business or your interaction with them is appreciated. When I'm out on the sales floor on Saturdays with my customers, I'm not really selling that much. I'm really building relationships. My salespeople sell. I talk to them about, what are they going to do with the bike? How are they going to, this weekend the weather's nice. I can't wait to go out for a ride. You guys just retired. You're going to go on a trip and take your bike with you. I'm looking at what the product does for the customer, not necessarily what the customer is buying. And so focus on your relationships, build relationships with your customers, have a good time with your customers, and interact with them in a way that allow them to feel passionate about the relationship that they have with you. Help, the biggest problem in the industry. Who is it that is going to make your business successful, and what kind of people are going to create a service culture in your organization that are going to allow this to grow? And the thing that we find is that we hire nice people and train them about the product rather than hire product experts who are, very opinionated, insecure, have an attitude about the fact that the other product is garbage and that only our stuff is the best. We don't have anything to do with those types of people in our organization. When we interact with our new hires and go through the interview process, we're looking for people that are friendly, confident, outgoing, and all we're trying to do is have that person be a person who fits into the corporate culture of our organization. We know that over time, shadowing and the way that we go through our training, that they're going to become great employees and they're going to sell their hearts out and create relationships with customers because they're starting with a foundation of being a really nice person and not being somebody who's an expert on a specific product but is just a pain in the neck to be around. So really focus on the relationships with your employees and not just find experts to fill holes, because they can kill the culture of an organization as well. A bad employee is like a cancer in an organization because people don't want to be around them and they don't enjoy the relationship with them. But if you can build a team of fun, great people and get rid of the dead wood and get rid of the ones that people don't like, you'll find that the business actually lifts up off the ground. People will actually carry the business and have it be a better place to interact with. So I've talked about our successes and our failures, but I like to share my best failure. Our Valentine's Day massacre. So a woman comes in our store a couple of days before Valentine's Day and she says, I want to get a bike for my husband, but I can't pay for it now. I can only put down a deposit because I have to wait for my next paycheck to come. But on Valentine's Day, I'm going to take my husband out for dinner, and before we go out to dinner, I want to bring him by the shop and show him the bike. And you guys are closed, so can you put the bike in the window of the store? And I'll put some balloons on it, and I'll put a sign on it, this is for you, I love you, and all this stuff. And can you, do this for me? We're like, yeah, sure, that's a simple thing. We'd love to do that. Well, of course, Valentine's Day night comes. She comes to the store. She kicks her husband out of the car. Go look in the window. Go look in the window. He gets out of the car. He looks in the window. He's like, what? There's nothing. What am I looking at? She gets out of the car. She looks in the window. There's no bike in the window. We forgot to put the bike in the window. She spent all this time and energy coming up with this great plan to do this great thing, and we just dropped the ball. I mean, we literally killed Cupid at that point. And worse is she had like 5 of her coworkers come to sat in the parking lot waiting to see her husband's reaction as well. I was like, So the next morning, and I have no idea that this is happening. So the next morning, I check my voicemails, and she was mad. And I had a really irate, voicemail about how, we just are the rottenest people, that we wasted her time. She was trying to be creative, and, and so I called Tom, and I said, he goes, oh, I got this message. She's crazy mad. And I'm like, yeah, I know. She left us both a message. So what are we going to do? We have to satisfy this. I mean, this is like, take the bullet quarters and just kick it over. I mean, we need to buy this woman back and make her fall in love with our business, because we truly are just donkeys for missing this thing. So I said, well, what does she owe? And the bike was like an $800 bike, a $400 bike, and she had paid $200. So there was $200 she owed. And I'm like, well, yeah, we'll just give her the bike. That'll cover it. And he goes, yeah, I know, but, we really, what else are we doing? I'm like, well, she was going out to dinner, and she was obviously ticked. So let's send her out to dinner. We'll send her to Quattro's, this really nice Italian restaurant in our community. And we'll cover a bottle of wine, the whole bit. We'll just send her out. Maybe we can recreate Valentine's Day. So we're not so hated. He goes, what about the employees? I'm like, I know, we'll cater lunch. Call Cilantro's, get lunch catered tomorrow in the store, in her office, because, they hate us too, because, we're just missed. So I was like, I said, all right, so let's do this. Let's let her know what we're going to do and go through the process. He goes, you know what, I'm going to bring the bike over to her house tonight. I'll fit the husband at home. They don't have to come in the store. And, I'll tell her we're going to send her to dinner, and then we'll tell her about lunch tomorrow and stuff. I said, great, call me. Let me know how it goes. So the day progressed, and it's like 6:30 or 7 o'clock, and I look down, and I have a voicemail. I guess I didn't see the call come in. And I listened to the voicemail, and it was a simple voicemail. Dude, she kissed me. So you have a relationship with the customer. So you have a relationship with the customer. She goes from, really wants to put one between the eyes to kissing you in 12 hours. That's a pretty quick emotional swing. But the best part of the story is that, obviously she's a customer, her husband loves the bike and everything's perfect. But the best part of the story is that 3 days later, I get a letter in the mail from Greg Chochi. Greg Chochi is one of my employees who forgot to put the bike in the window. He sold her the bike. He told her he'd put it in the window. He was responsible for fulfilling her dreams of having this thing happen. And in it was a letter. It said, I made a mistake. I apologize for the inconvenience I created. I know I potentially cost us a lifetime customer. I love that. He's actually got lifetime customer in the letter. And included is a check for $400, the amount of money that you spent to recover this customer. Now, I still have the check. Of course, I wouldn't even think about cashing the check because the fact that an employee recognized that he was responsible for creating an uncomfortable relationship with a customer and then willing to come to bat to have that happen is just an amazing thing. The part that's interesting about this is about 10 years ago. He was making $10 an hour as an employee. So this is a week's pay for him that he was willing to give up as an employee to show us that he truly, was sorry that he made this huge mistake. And this is the kind of relationship that I have. Now, he's still with us. It's been, he's a lifer. He's got golden handcuffs. He's not going anywhere because, he's my guy. He's like Tom. He's definitely a walk on water, glow in the dark kind of guy. But this is the relationship that we have with our customers. And can you create a relationship with our employees? Can you create a relationship with your employees, or do you have employees that are that committed to the relationship that they have with their business? And that's what I ask is, how do you find people like this, and what can you do to empower your people to feel that, one, they're empowered to do the right thing, but then, on top of that, they have ownership at a level that will allow them to do this type of action to show you how valuable they are to your organization. We have a motto in our organization. It's the only difference between us and our competition is the service that we offer. We're not about the product. We're not selling tires and tubes. We're not selling rubber. We're selling the relationship that our customers have with our products. We're selling the relationship that our corporate buyers have with our organization to make them look good. We're servicing the customer in a way that is about the relationship and not about the physical product that we're offering from our organization. One of my friends, Len Berry, who's a thought leader when it comes to service. He's the head of the Center for Retail Studies. He wrote a book called Discovering the Soul of Service. My favorite quote out of his book is, "Great service not only improves business, but it improves the quality of life." If your business is a great service provider, the people in your organization are happier, your customers are happier, you're happier, and it's just a fun place to be. So again, the challenge is how can I plant seeds? What opportunities can you grow that will allow your business to become this service business that's awesome and will allow for the business to grow based on a relationship that's lifetime value rather than a transactional relationship. Now, if you've appreciated the presentation, I wrote a book. It came out in March. It's called Reinventing the Wheel, The Science of Creating Lifetime Customers. There's lots of stories in it. It's the same style as I present. It's what we did or what we do and how we got to that point. And it's not that I'm out to sell books, because I wrote this book as a training manual for my employees. I also wrote it as an entrepreneurial book for people who want to figure out how to be in the service business. But because I'm a service guy and because I'm a relationship guy, the offer that I have to everyone that I meet who I introduce the book to is that if you buy the book and it's not one of your top 5 favorite business books, send it to me. I'll send you your money back. I'm completely committed to the fact that I don't want this on your shelf if you don't feel there's value in it. And of course, because I'm a service guy and because I'm a lifetime value guy, if you buy this book and you find that it's too arrogant or too uptight or whatever, you just put it in an envelope, send it back to me. I'll send you your money back, no questions asked, because that's the relationship that I'm looking to build, not just with our business, but with our book, with my interaction here. All of the things that I want to do is to lead by example. So if you can follow and become a great service company, I'll be honored to have you as a friend. I thank you for your time. I appreciate your listening, and thank you very much.